It was 10 years ago, on a night just like this, where there was a sound that sounded like...
So, basically, I'm a badass.
And it was 10 years ago that it was episode 4 of Survivor San Juan Del Sur. Josh, happy week 4-y.
Nobody loves week 4-y more than your boy, Josh Wigler. Oh my God, the Drew Christie ballad.
Hot 4-y.
Hot fire.
Hot fire. Hot fire.
Yep.
Wow. An
Week
episode
4-y.
that is hot fire, Rob.
One-
Across the decade, I would say. 2 hot
For the
fire.
history books. Yeah, I would say that maybe the first classic episode from the San Juan Del Sur rewatch. I mean, there's been some incredible vibes to go back from 10 years ago, but this was, an all-timer to watch Drew Christie and watch just 42 minutes of all about Drew. It's been called the Ballad of Drew Christie this episode.
It's an incredible song. I love this song. It's a ridiculous episode. Just a monument to this man's willful exit, self-termination from the game, from a few different angles. We go in on Drew in several different ways in this episode, and it is just such an explosive flame out that is never I don't know, explosive might be the wrong word. It's a hilarious flame out. It's just very, 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 very classically funny, and one of the funnier Survivor episodes. But Rob, when Survivor 47 was on this week, I spent a good chunk of that episode thinking, whoa, are we getting the Ballad of Rome, the fall of Rome?
Yeah.
Are we getting 2 of these very kindred spirit episodes across this decade? And we didn't quite get that. But there was a moment where it really felt like this is like Survivor horoscope stuff, Rob. You really got to read a star chart for this kind of thing.
Yeah, and we never got that Rome was trying to throw the challenge from Survivor 47 this week, but
No.
there is an alternative reading of the episode where you certainly could assign that, but Rome himself has never said that.
Well, you could then, Rob, theoretically say that if, we're taking Rome at his word that he didn't throw the challenge, and we're taking Drew at his word that he did throw the challenge. But if we're leaving open the possibility that these guys aren't telling us exactly the truth, then for Drew, that would mean he just really sucked that day.
Yeah, he sucked that day.
He sucked on that one.
Yeah, he sucked on that one.
Yeah.
All right. So, Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Very excited. Of course, thrilled that we are not only on RHAP celebrating 10 years of San Juan Del Sur, Rob. We are also celebrating 10 years of Survivor Cagayan, and how.
Yeah. Well, that's the sister project to what we're doing here was that. So we decided to go through the Survivor San Juan Del Sur episode by episode. But earlier this year, I also was sort of moved by this idea of it's been 10 years since Survivor Cagayan. And there was an idea that I had about could we do some kind of oral history of Survivor Cagayan? Because not only was the season so crazy, but the entire cast they're all wild personalities, top to bottom. And, could we reach out to all of them? And so it started off was it a podcast? We didn't know what to do with it. And so I had sort of been something that I will do. And I've had good results with this and also bad results with this. Sometimes I'll just put it out there. Not necessarily that I'll manifest it, but I'll just start talking about a thing and see, who might be interested in helping. And
you're
really,
casting a line not unlike the great fish master Drew Christie would have.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then, some would say maybe setting a trap, but I'll say casting.
Tony.
And then we ended up working with some very talented producers in Dr. Amanda Rabinowitz and Lindsay Wilson and Matt Scott, who really collaborated to work to track down a bunch of the willing Survivor Cagayan participants and podcasters and Survivor alumni. And we put together one documentary. It's called I Stand Cagayan. We're going to have the world premiere coming up in person in Philadelphia on October 28th. And then we will share it with the world on Tuesday night, October 29th. So that is the sister project of the 10-year anniversary of Survivor, Cagayan.
It's a blast. I love RHAP adopting like the real great streaming model of like, okay, well, here on San Juan Del Absurd, we'll stick to the Coca-Cola Classic weekly, but we're doing a binge drop on you when it comes to Cagayan. And really, it's not a binge drop. This is like a literal feature-length documentary with tons of talking heads from the cast of Cagayan, from surrounding the cast of Cagayan, other alum, people on RHAP. I've gotten a chance to check it out early, and it's fun. It's really, really fun to go back and relive that stuff. I think like in the very same way that what we're tapping into here with this podcast series is just like a great nostalgia for this thing that takes us back to a time when RHAP was just heating up and Survivor was actively changing. And now here we are a decade on with like some really tangible results of what, the seeds that were planted back then.
Seeds, baby.
The seeds, baby, that were
when
planted
the seeds,
back
baby,
then,
were just seeds. Yeah.
And they've like top 5 seeds, baby. And like they have borne fruit now. And so I think that there is this real feeling of like you get a lot
Bread
of
fruit.
Value out of looking back at this.
Tony's Ladder.
Tony's Ladder. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like going back and checking this stuff out has been really, really fun, and doing it in this very unique way on I Stand Cagayan. Some really fun secret stories that I hadn't heard before. So yeah, it's going to be out pretty soon, and people can come check out the premiere. And
let me just say, if you love this podcast, you're really gonna love this. Like for if you love what we do, then you're really gonna love what we do.
I think that's right. Right. One for the base for sure. Is I Stand Cagayan. This is for you guys.
Okay. All right. You can check out that trailer on YouTube. Go search for I Stand Cagayan. All right. Josh, here we are, San Juan del Sur, and it was October 15th, 2014. The world was shocked to see Drew Christie. I don't think there was a lot of hints that Drew Christie was going home in this episode in the real time. I think that this was a slow motion car crash for Drew Christie.
Sure. You don't think that it was, you think it was or was not evident within
I don't think it was. I don't think that there was a ton of clues that he was going to be the person targeted by the group.
Even by the end of it, you don't think?
I feel like, coming into the episode,
sure. I do think like they've done a decent enough job at this point establishing that Drew gets on certain people's nerves. And what we don't know at the time, but you can kind of appreciate after the fact, is that it's the winner of the season who's the one who's kind of getting a good hate into Drew directly. So like there's like, there's stuff that's baked in there to lay the track for it. But the thing is like we haven't really had this kind of conflict on Hunapu yet. So it's not just like the Ballad of Drew Christie, but in a lot of ways, this is a coming out party for certainly like 3 contestants from this season who are going to go on to repeat on Survivor, and Jeremy and Keith and Wentworth. Like I feel like there's a lot that happens in this one.
Well, Jeremy had really gotten his close up already in San Juan del Sur. I think we became very close with who Jeremy was. And even that Natalie, she also had, her 2 times on The Amazing Race. Like we kind of knew who Natalie was, and we met her maybe tangentially through her sister being voted out. Right. But this is also the first time we really get to see Kelly Wentworth.
Yes. Another way in which this episode comes full circle with the episode that aired 10 years later, right? I mean, from out of nowhere, Genevieve pops up to take a stealth shot. I think you could say something similar here for Wentworth, and that makes this a really interesting moment in the Genevieve discourse, where we don't know the future, but we do know at least a good chunk of Wentworth's future. Story is perhaps yet to be finished, but it's a really interesting, I think, frame to look at Genevieve through and Kelly through as a result.
Well, with all due respect to Kelly, like, I feel like that this episode was not necessarily like her master stroke. I think
Sure.
that it was really, you hear Missy, I think, is the first person in the episode to say that, like, well, what about Drew? And then the women come together. What was so interesting about this, and just in regards to Kelly, I feel like that the entire, like, Second Chances season is more of her, like, coming out party in terms of, like, coming out of nowhere to have, like, her big moment, which doesn't really even happen in this season, which is so interesting about her story.
For sure.
That what's interesting now, and I don't even think we knew this to the degree at the time that we recorded the evolution of strategy, Drew Christie's whole thing is the mastermind is Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly went, and everybody's like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, yes, she knows the show. She's going to be the person she's the best player. We have to get rid of her. And everybody's like, you're
What are you
crazy.
talking about? Yeah.
What are you talking about? And that's the wild thing to go back and watch this, is that Drew Christie
was right.
was a prophet.
He was a prophet. Yeah. And we wondered about this. This is one of those moments where, like, I couldn't quote it verbatim, but I know if you go back and you check the tapes and you listen, not Brian Gumbel's tapes, our tapes, if you go back to chapter 28 of the evolution of strategy, we're wondering this very question, because we don't yet know how Wentworth does on Second Chance, and we certainly don't know that, like, she'll come back for another pretty impressive run, like, a little later on. We didn't know. We just knew that she got voted back on, and the possibility for Drew to be proven right or wrong was there. Whatever else you want to say about Drew Christie, at least in this one instance,
he was
Drew
right
Christie
about that.
was right.
Now,
He was right.
also in the same episode, in the early going of the episode, he tells us at home, without him, these people would be nothing. On a tribe
People would be nothing.
Nothing. He, and for us, we know he is lying.
He's lying.
Because he's on a tribe with 3 all-time greats in Natalie, Jeremy, and Kelly.
Yeah.
But according to Drew, without him, these people would be nothing.
They'd be nothing. They'd be nothing. I'd love to test that. I would love to test that. Except for the fact that I think time goes on to test that, and Drew Christie was wrong.
Yeah. Drew was wrong
On this
again.
one,
Yeah.
Drew was wrong. Yeah.
Okay. But speaking of Drew being wrong, remember when the Hunapu tribe lost the flint, and then they traded their flint for some of them? They tried to trade some of them farting beans to get a new flint. And Jeff said, no, fishing gear.
No, I'm not touching your farting beans. Yeah, that flint is alive, if not well, just like in the fire pit. And this,
Hot fire.
The hot fire pit. And this leads to Drew being like,
Hot fire.
all right, I'm going to, make a move here. I'm going to ask Uncle Jeff if we can't trade the flint that we found, or the flint that we haven't even used yet. If we could trade that for, some of the fishing gear again. And everyone's like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. He's going to hate all of us. He's going to hate what you said, and it's going to wash out. He's going to penalize us so hard. Don't do it. And Drew's like, I got the courage to do it.
I got to do it.
I got to do it.
I got to do it. Come on.
It's like that kid whose like hand is like on like the stove, and like has like their hand hovering over a pot, and they're like, don't touch it. Don't touch it. And the kid goes, hot fire.
So
and has to touch it.
I saw this a little bit differently as opposed to like a kid. I feel like that this was more like a kid is with their parents, and the parent is like, I'm gonna say something, and the kid is like, oh my God, Dad, do not do that. Oh my God, you're gonna embarrass me so much. Do not do that. You're like, I'm doing it.
Are you
So
calling?
I think I'm gonna balls up and be like, work with me, Jeff.
He's gonna balls up.
He's gonna balls up. Gotta balls up. He's gonna balls up. Are you calling in that metaphor? Is Drew Christie father?
Dale adjacent, maybe.
Daddy Christie. Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We hear about Daddy Christie in this episode.
We do. Yeah. It was very hard on Alec.
Don't half-ass it.
Yeah, a lot of expectations of Alec, but not a lot of expectations of Drew.
Yeah. You know, I guess because we're talking about it, sounds like the Christie household might not have been. I'm of two minds because I feel like that. Tell me, Josh.
Yes.
Tell me this, okay?
Yes.
Okay. I was talking with somebody recently.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how for most people that achieved greatness in some field had a parent that was unrelenting. And Alec Christie is saying dad knew Drew wouldn't amount to anything. And that's why he was hard on me. And he would tell me, hey, don't half-ass anything. And that's how I'm going to be on you, Baylor.
Yeah.
I'm your dad now. But that for Alec Christie to achieve all of that he has in his life, that maybe Dad Christie needed to be hard on Alec Christie.
Without throwing shade, has Alec Christie achieved greatness?
Nobody
knows.
He washed all the cars while Drew was sleeping in bed, not amounting to anything.
Yeah.
He's a meat collector.
He is a meat collector. In another universe, I feel
I'm a meat collector.
I feel like Drew and Alec could be the subjects of a Ryan Murphy American Crime Story series. I feel like they've got that energy, that dynamic. Yeah. I would watch that. Monsters, the Drew and Alec Christie story. I would check that out for sure.
Yeah. And
would Ryan Murphy talk to Drew and Alec ahead of time? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't say.
I don't know. Okay. All right. So let's go to
Sarah
Hero
Paulson
Arena.
Plays Missy.
Hero Arena. And at Hero Arena, we see that John Rocker is gone. And the edit, I feel like, really gives shines the light on Natalie here. They close up on her and everybody's like, yeah.
Yeah, she's pumped. And then Julie has a very subdued reaction. She's like, it's fine. I won't know him in a couple of years.
My boyfriend, John. Yeah.
My boyfriend. Oh, yeah. My boyfriend, John. Is there a supercut of My Boyfriend, John somewhere out there? I'm sure.
Not yet. I don't believe.
Not yet. Someone can put it together. But no, she doesn't seem to be all that upset. But are the wheels starting to turn in Julie's mind?
No, because I feel like that famously she quits to go be on the pre-jury trip with him.
Right. That's what I mean.
Is the wheels are turning to engineer and exit?
Is there if she seems really stoic on the outside, but internally is there I'm not going to make it. I can't do this. Is that starting?
I don't know. I mean, she's kind of down in the dumps. She's pretty down overall. I feel like there's a lightness around her for the first couple episodes, but I feel like she's not fitting in.
Well, she really kind of fades into the background of this episode, I think, pretty quickly.
Yeah. And I think that Jeremy and Natalie, I think that I don't know what their relationship was like so much with. I think that it's probably not bad, but I also feel like that they really were the most vocal people anti John Rocker.
Yes, correct. Absolutely 100% right.
Okay. Which is hard because I believe that Julie is aligned with them.
Yeah. Yes. Allegedly.
It
seems like most of the people there are aligned somehow. I don't really. Yeah. Whatever. We can get to that later for sure.
Yeah, I think it's that there's
a lot of sub-alliances in this tribe.
A lot of sub-alliances. It's Jeremy is working with all the women, and then they're sort of Reed is around also. We don't really see where he is too much pre-swap, and then, it's pretty much kind of Drew and John. They're a little bit in the Ryan Aiken and Dan Liu role of okay, what are these two knuckleheads up to?
Do you see Ryan Aiken when you look at Drew Christie?
I think that's probably a similar. They're both models.
Is he pretty cheap in the Ryan Aiken sense, Drew Christie?
Could be. Yeah. Could be. I could see it.
Yeah.
So, Josh, we get another attempted exchange. Okay. We talked about that. Kelly didn't want him to do it, but he's doing it. He's going to do it. The old flint, they found it in a pile of ash. Hey, Jeff, could we trade the flint, barely used, and get the fishing gear or some of the fishing gear?
What does he say exactly? It's something to the effect of, well, I'm going to bring, nobody else on my tribe had the courage to bring this up. The courage, the heart of the lion within Drew Christie to have the courage to bring this up to Jeff, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Really incredible. I do think that there's something to like, how are the negotiations in Survivor being altered right now? Like, this is sort of like, this is the basement, right? Like, do we go lower than this attempt at any point? Or is this
I don't
still
think
the basement?
we ever see somebody make a lowball offer to Jeff like this.
Yeah, this is, I mean, like Angelina's offer is like almost, it's like it's like too thought out. Like hers is like way too calculated. And Drew's is I mean, I guess in like with Drew math, it's calculated, but
well, you know what? I would say that in the other negotiations seem initiated by Jeff. Like Jeff will say, like, all right, here's what I need from you. I have this, I need this, and let's go. And somebody will be like, what about like you know, what about we'll give you like some farting beans. And you're like, no, I need something better. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. But this was the first time I think that a deal was pitched by one of the players, and Jeff's like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. And then he's like messing with them.
He's loving it. Or he's like really hating it, but like, and like he's getting like his real mustache twirly villain on right now, but it's not gonna fly, certainly. There's no world in which this is going to fly with Papa Probst. And I love that how authentic this scene feels, because it kind of for me it really helps like cement the iconic status of this part of the Ballad of Drew Christie, is that like everyone starts groaning when he starts like bringing up the negotiation, and he like looks at them, he's like, hey, let me finish. Like there's a part of this that was rehearsed, but like the well-rehearsed plan is starting to get laughed at.
Let me cook.
He's like, yeah, exactly. And so it just like, it feels very lived in. He feels like a little flush on the other side of getting rejected. Like the whole thing doesn't feel like a sketch. It's one of those incredible things that only reality TV can do, which was a quote from Saul in Survivor 47 this week. Is this real life?
Yeah. I have that, but I don't have it ready to go for you.
Fair enough.
Yes. I liked your David at the dentist.
It's Saul after Rome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Real life?
Is this real life? And so, unfortunately for Saul, it was.
It was, unfortunately. More unfortunately for someone else.
Yeah. Okay. How about this?
Is this real life, bro? This is Survivor, bro.
Okay.
This is Survivor, bro.
All right.
What a wonderful cadence to that. This is Survivor, bro.
Josh, we get Hero Arena here, and we are going to see John versus Jacqueline.
Yes.
You know who's really getting that little out of pocket?
Who's that?
Dale Wentworth.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's fair to observe right now, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like in these challenges, just like hooting and hollering. He's yelling at John, you throw like a girl. That's a girl's throw.
He's like the guy in Happy Gilmore who keeps showing up, you jackass. Where he's just like
he's been hanging out
Happy.
with John Rocker too much. And he's like somebody that would be like in a dunk tank. And he's like, can you throw like a girl?
Yeah. He's like he feels like someone who like you would be dunking on for sure. And like epic justice served once he goes in.
He's also like his celebrations are wild. When in the challenge, when Drew Christie is throwing the challenge and he's like landing the life preservers, he's just like
his like physicality is insane.
He's so animated.
He's very animated. Just like unbelievably like a wind up toy that just like starts like moving all over the place. Dale Wentworth. Yeah, for sure.
Right. John beats Jacqueline. Jacqueline's going to Exile Island. Who should go to Exile Island with Jacqueline?
Gotta be Drew Christie. We gotta keep singing the song. This song isn't singing itself.
We got to. Okay. All right. So Drew Christie, the ladies' man,
that's
is going to go.
Jacqueline's heard. Alec has informed Jacqueline. My brother's a ladies' man. He's a ladies collector. And so she has that like going through her mind as she's there with Drew, who John has selected because he knows that like Drew Christie is a true bro. And so his true bro is gonna be like a good friend to Jacqueline here.
She's talking to him like, so Drew, Alex says you're a ladies' man, and he's like, yeah, it's a curse.
It's a curse.
He tells us about being a ladies' man.
The fact that I'm a ladies' man seems to work in my advantage, but I haven't been trying to work that angle too much.
Okay.
Jack is definitely very attractive looking, but
there's a point where he's like,
what happened at the end of that clip?
She turns around and bends over, and they catch him like looking at her, at least like allegedly, in her direction. But the editors,
attractive looking, but thing is, I'm not out here looking for love. Definitely not with one of my buddy's girls. I'm really out here just trying to strategize and manipulate minds.
Yeah, I'm just here to strategize and manipulate minds.
That's sound, Rob. That's like the sound you hear in hell. Oh, no.
You don't like that?
Oh, no, not in that context. I don't like what happened there at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a sound that we hear probably more often on Big Brother.
That feels like a Big Brother sound to me. Just the like the limited exposure that I continue to have with this thing.
Yeah, we don't get too many like boner noises on Survivor.
Oh man, I'm kind of surprised that there isn't a Survivor boner yet. Like, I'm kind of shocked that there isn't like a Survivor contestant who's like, call me boner. It's like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's coming.
Call me boner.
I feel like it's coming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's got to be the sound from one of these Survivor seasons, but we will just leave that alone.
Someone can let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Actually, here I could do. Let me see if I do a search. No, I don't. I don't see it.
Nothing.
Okay.
All right. You got nothing.
Nothing. I have nothing. All right. So at XL Island, Drew Christie tells Jacqueline, "Don't worry, I'm going to throw the challenge."
The age-old question of whether or not you should throw a challenge gets tested here by one Drew Christie, the ladies' man himself.
Yep. And he's going to do it.
He says, yeah, we're going to do it. We've got some stuff to resolve on our side. And he's like, I've got numbers. You don't seem like you're in a good spot. I'm in a great spot. This tribe would be nothing without me. So he feels pretty confident in doing this.
Yeah.
Overconfident?
Maybe. There's a lot of snakes in his tribe. So he needs to ultimately get rid of them.
Why'd it have to be snakes?
Why'd it have to be snakes? All right. So meanwhile, back at Hunapu, Keith is finally going to look for the idol. Speaking of snakes, it's like a snake jumps out at him.
It's unbelievable. This is another way in which this episode connects quite well with this past week's Survivor 47, that both episodes feature a like really harebrained idol search, like a kind of a spooky idol search.
Yeah.
In the case of Sue, it was a murder scene. In the case of Keith, it's like a little ghost story. This thing like a little popped up and haunted him from the grave.
Yep. And so, for Keith, he goes and looks for the idol first. And he's like, not here. All right, everybody, bring it in. Jeremy's got it.
Jeremy's
got the idol.
Yeah. What do you think in his mind he was trying to do here? Is he trying to just like turn it on Jeremy, even though he and Jeremy seem to have had like made some kind of pact?
I think that's a misunderstanding of Keith Nail as a player.
Yes.
I don't think that there's any forethought in how Keith is playing.
Yeah.
I think that Keith is, okay, I got the clue. I'm going to go look for the idol. Can't find it. Hey, everybody. Jeremy must have the idol. I looked for it. I couldn't find it. So just so we're all on the same page, Jeremy has the idol.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let me retrace my steps. Let me double check. Like, I don't think that it was so much like, I think it was like that he was processing, accidental bell, processing that, okay, well, if I don't have the idol and I can't find it, then Jeremy must have the idol.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, he goes ahead and he does all that. And then the idol jumped up and scared me a bit. So literally just like, It just kind of like pops up.
Meanwhile, Reed relays this information back to Jeremy.
What the hell? What the hell, bro?
Yeah.
You're in my alliance.
That frustrated Jeremy is so fun.
It's so good. It's so good. It's really great. Like I love when Jeremy is able to be like cool, calm, collective Jeremy, and like be like an incredible strategist and player in the game. And I think like he learns a lot of really important lessons in this season that then translate to that second chance win. But man, I kind of love suboptimal Jeremy. Suboptimal Jeremy, who's just like being like frustrated and calling people out. It's a great it's a great vibe. Annoyed Jeremy is such a fun character.
He's such a great character because he's great exasperated, but he's also great like joyful. He's great like emotional, like he'll cry, that he just like is all of the feels.
Yeah, all of them, every last one.
He's a very like emotive player, and all of the different sides of Jeremy are all good TV.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like he's like a Swiss Army knife. Like there's like a tool for every moment. Like he is really expressive. He has a lot of gravitas. In like when he's talking about Val, certainly in Second Chance. He's got like the strategic acumen, so he's a really good narrator for a lot of those big plays.
He's very real.
He's great. He's very authentic. He is very, very real. He's very raw. He is like one of those true greats of this time period, certainly. Really one of like the iconic players for sure.
Okay. So meanwhile, we have this very odd scene at Coyopa. We touched on it, where Alec Christie is he's gonna teach Baylor a lesson, because hey, my dad was hard on me, so I got to be hard on you. Like, well, you're not my dad, and we're also playing Survivor. What are you doing?
Yeah, this is so weird. She doesn't like it at all. I'd forgotten that there's like, we get into like sort of this like really weird Missy and Alec dynamic.
Yeah.
People are going to start thinking they're a couple, like Sam and what's her head on that other guy. I don't know. I'm not paying that close attention.
Yeah. All right. So we go back to the challenge. Drew Christie is going to throw the challenge. And we get confessionals from Drew like before the challenge.
Yes.
I think that maybe you could count on one hand the number of times that Survivor has done this device.
Yeah.
Maybe in Cagayan they did it when we see the brains trying to throw I feel like that's the only time they do it. When somebody's trying to throw the challenge, that we might get a confessional in the midst of it. Yeah,
they need to set up what the stakes are and like what we should be watching for. And what we're watching for is like, is this going to be a throw or is this not? This is where we either now or right before this, we get the iconic Drew Christie quote, I imagine.
I believe that happens when he gets back after the challenge. So Jeff is like apoplectic during the challenge when Drew Christie is like taking shot after shot. Just like, no, not that. Like Drew Christie's like letting the life preserver roll between his legs. Like it is. And he's like, oh, usually I'm good at this stuff. I don't know what happened to me today.
Yeah. It's just like full Benny Hill music in the background, like just like really hamming it up.
Yep.
Which, leaves the other tribe feeling so good about themselves.
They were feeling very good.
Coyopa finally gets one. A win's a win, Rob. Even if, if they're going to play themselves to our benefit, let them do it. Why not?
Yeah, Drew Christie tells us after the challenge.
So, basically, I'm a badass and a manipulator of this game.
Yep.
One more time, if you don't mind.
So, basically, I'm a badass and a manipulator of this game.
I feel like if that was like my my alarm clock to wake me up every day, I feel like I would enter every day so hyped. Yeah. Like, this game of life, I'm manipulating it to my advantage. I'm basically a badass. Like, we should wake up with Drew Christie energy. Just incredible abundance of self-confidence.
I get those on my TikTok sometimes. It's always like AC/DC like Back in Black, and maybe this could be like a alternate universe Wandoff. It's like it's like basically you're a badass.
Yep.
You're a manipulator of this game. You're hot fire. Dad likes you the best.
Yeah. That is also heavily featured in the Ryan Murphy adaptation of the Christie brothers.
You're a ladies' man. Yeah. It's easy for you. It's a curse because you're such a ladies' man. But that's not what you're out here to do. You're here to be a manipulator of minds. You're the strategist. You're basically a badass. So go out there and win this game. You're carrying Jeremy and Natalie and Kelly Wentworth on your back. They're nothing without you. A badass, basically.
Is this like... Who is this who's saying this? Is this like Drew's Jiminy Cricket? Jiminy Christie is like on his shoulder whispering this stuff to him?
Yeah, hyping him up.
Oh my God.
How do you think he becomes such a good ladies' man? Wow. You gotta have like a little like hype cricket in your ear.
Yeah, that's right. This is like his mystery, getting out there and giving him all the vibes.
Mystery and Jiminy Cricket both wore a similar top hat.
They had similar hats. I do think that Mystery is sort of the Jiminy Cricket of reality television. So a lot of this is tracking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean they both sort of had like a scarf and like a top hat. Like, it's a similar look.
I think that he borrowed Kermit's Kinos to build out his avatar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's some like wishing upon a star going on.
Well, we're wishing upon a star in the making here in not just Drew Christie, but yes, now he is like, we got to get rid of Kelly Wentworth. She's the best one at Survivor. Trust me. I've seen the future. I've been there. If we don't get her out now, if we don't get her out now, Jeremy, you'll be in for a run for your money. You gotta take her out now.
Yeah, you gotta take her out now. Okay.
He's like Desmond. He's like been shocked into the future and like he can like see some of this stuff.
Now, the other thing that's interesting here is that there's a little bit of talk, and we saw in the original Blood versus Water, and Jeff is still at Tribal Council talking about like, okay, fourth person voted out of Blood versus Water. Like they don't even call it San Juan Del Sur. They're just calling it Blood versus Water here. Yeah. That did not stay. It was hollow. It was hollow. And so that John is like, hey, like the vote is going to be, we are going to take out Julie. Julie doesn't have a partner, that all of the pairs need to stick together. This is what we should do. All of the people that have a pair should stick together. And Drew Christie's like, no, we're not doing that.
No way. Yeah.
And they're like, well, who do you want to get rid of? Like Kelly. The person that's running everything.
The mastermind.
Wait, what?
It's her.
Mm-hmm.
He knows.
Yeah. And he's like saying this like in earshot of Kelly.
Yeah, she's like 2 paces away. She's like right at the shelter. They're like maybe like actually 5 feet away from the shelter. And Drew Christie does not seem to have an inside voice other than Jiminy Christie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Like, did he even think that they had the votes to do this?
I think he thinks that he's able to whip them together, Rob. I think he's whipping the votes.
Yeah.
He's got a very emphatic, impassioned sales pitch to Jeremy. He goes to him.
He ends up being the only person to vote for Kelly Wentworth here at this vote.
Yeah.
It's a wild vote. We'll get to Tribal Council.
Yeah.
There are 5 votes for Drew, the 4 women, and Jeremy. But Reed and Keith vote for Julie. John Mish votes for Keith. And Drew votes for Kelly Wentworth. So 4 different people in this tribe of 9 get votes. 4 out of 9 equals out for Drew Christie.
Wow. Did the episode live up to the hype for you? It certainly did for me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think there's still more to go.
Yeah.
So we see the women talking, and it's Missy and Natalie are the ones that talk about, like, should we just get rid of Drew? Like, yeah, definitely.
Thrilled to do it.
Yep. Okay, Tribal Council. This is also a wild Tribal Council in this episode. We get the title for the episode of We're a Hot Mess, that Natalie ends up saying it. Jeff is asking about the tribe. And there's discussion about Drew's.
I feel like this episode with respect with a lot of respect. I have so much respect for Natalie Anderson. I feel like this episode could have had a better title, and it should have come from Drew Christie. It should have been one of his many. Whether this episode is called Basically a Badass.
Yeah, I think that if this happened now, I think that maybe we would maybe get that.
Hot Fire, call it Hot Fire, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ladies' man.
The ladies' man, that would be good too.
This episode deserves...
With all due respect to Tim Meadows.
Yeah, like, I am the ladies' man, Drew Christie.
Give a glass of Cavassier.
I'm basically a badass and a manipulator of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it did like the manipulator of this game. Like anything. Like there's so many anything. There's so many great Drewisms that I feel like I wish we could go back and rename it. That's my only critique.
All right. Well, there is a great conversation also between Jeremy and Keith about the idol, and Jeremy brings up why are you telling people that I have the idol? Mm-hmm. Then Keith tries to defend himself. Jeremy's like, but we were working together. Yeah. Why are you doing this? And we get that Jeremy says like, but we could have kept it a secret, you and I. We could have had a sub-alliance.
But it's more than two people, Jeremy.
Well, we could have two people aligned and have a sub-alliance with everybody else. We could have done that.
Sub-alliance, okay.
We could have done that, Keith.
That's a new one on me.
It's a new one on me. Why like the gong and the sudden shift to like the dark music there?
Who are they giving that to? To Jeremy?
Let's hear that again.
Alliance with everybody else. We could have done that.
Sub-alliance, okay.
We could have done that, Keith.
That's a new one on me.
Wow. That feels like the Grim Reaper got a hold of the organ for a second there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that has like this like really like spooky like dong dong dong.
Mm-hmm. Sub-alliance.
Yeah. And I feel like he says that we could have had a sub-alliance with the rest of the alliance. Like I feel like we should be like strike that, reverse it, right? Like Keith and Jeremy are the sub-alliance is what he's pitching.
Yeah, but probably not ideal to say that at the Tribal Council with everybody.
No, Jeremy, no.
Yeah, so
don't do it like that.
But
look,
perfect.
his life is totally fine. So let him stumble here.
Let him cook,
so he can run. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So then people are coming to Jeremy's defense a little bit of like, no, Keith was telling everybody that Jeremy had the idol, and Natalie breaks out a Keith Nail impression.
It wasn't like, I think Jeremy has an idol. He's like, I'll tell you one thing, Jeremy got that idol.
Jeremy got that idol.
I'll tell you one thing. I love it.
A lot of their voices are so melodic. Jeremy got that idol. Wow, we really could have.
You're just stuck in wand-off mode.
Yeah, I can't get it out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
We owe the people one soon enough. I think here I'm fit to burst. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
give it a couple more episodes.
Drew Christie ultimately in a wild vote gets that we end up with. We have one vote Drew, one vote Julie, one vote Keith, one vote Kelly.
Right.
Okay.
And then it's 5 Drew.
Hot fiver.
Hot fiver.
Yep. Drew says that in his final words, he said, I knew all along the girls wanted me out of there because I'm obviously a physical and social threat to them. Congrats to them. They did a great job getting me out because in the long run, I definitely would have beat them. I just wish I had been a little bit more chill and kind of roll with the girls rather than kind of gone against them right away because it turned out to bite me in the butt.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020.
It is. That's what they say. They keep saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so there you have it.
Yep.
Drew Christie gone.
All right. So then we had asked last week to get some folks, our San Juan Del Surs, our San Juan Del surrogates,
yes,
a couple of different people reached out and offered to help with that project. I heard from Danielle Mathis, who said that she would be up to help. We also got a word from, I want to make sure I'm giving all the credit to Andrew Larson, said that he would also help out. But since we're recording early, The person that I got notes from, it was Josh Green.
Josh Green, okay.
Now hold on, but maybe not the Josh Green that you're thinking. Maybe not the first Josh Green that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, we have two Josh Greens.
Double Josh Green.
Double Josh Greens.
All right,
okay.
Josh Green 2.
Twin twist. The Josh Green are the Natalie and Nadia.
Got
okay.
it. Okay.
Okay.
Is there a difference in how they spell green, or is it exact same?
It's exactly the same.
That's going to be really hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate your efforts anyway.
Yes.
From one Josh to another.
Yes.
To another.
Okay. All right. So Josh Green writes in. Both are from Philly also. It's also very confusing.
It's a lot.
All right. So Josh Green listened to the Know-It-Alls and the podcast and had some interesting takeaways. Okay. All right. Said in 2014, I called Drew Christie a horrible player. Yeah. I said that there were two dodo tribes.
Two dodo tribes. Yes. This also tracks.
Yeah. Stephen Fishback gave the fishy to Natalie Anderson.
To Natalie.
Pretty good. I can't disagree. Maybe I might say Missy, because she says it first, but.
See, this is why I can't be.
She was good with the guys and the girls, according to Josh reporting on what Steven had to say in 2014.
I could never hand out fishies because I would have handed it out to Drew Christie in this episode for sure.
Yeah. Josh also noted that we commented on how Natalie and Nadia had the same strategy of getting all the girls plus one guy together, except Natalie's strategy worked. And I said that it was basically like Survivor was doing a science experiment. Can we put identical twins in a season where one is the first person voted out and the other one wins the game?
Look at you. Look at you.
That's at 31 minutes in the Know-It-Alls, Josh says.
That's like Drew Christie's powers exiting his body and leaving and entering yours, and you now can see the future of San Juan Del Sur.
Josh says, I said Drew Christie is one of the top 10 worst players ever.
Do you still hold to that? Would you say one of the top 10 worst players ever?
I think that when we get into like worst players ever, like that, I think there's certain criteria. And I think that it like Drew fits all of them of like you get voted out in the first time you go to tribal council, you get voted out. That happened to me one time. Okay.
Sure.
So it's not necessarily
it's many great people.
Happens. Look, okay. But you're a big, strong guy.
Yep.
In a tribe that, there's still some sort of like, advantage to having strong people around. So you have to be especially bad.
Yeah.
So he also threw the challenge to go home.
Yes.
Thought he was a mastermind. I think that he is one of the worst Survivor players we've ever seen.
But an incredible Survivor character.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be up for Drew 0.0? Would we do a sequel to Drew Christie?
So put him back out there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it would necessarily hold. I don't know what we would necessarily get different. I don't think he's in the mix for Survivor 50.
That feels like Lisa Simpson's nightmare, and one of the digits going down. We're wishing on the paw here. I feel like we put Drew back out there, and this episode doesn't play.
I don't know if it goes great. So then the recap. I did a episode it was a recap / voicemail episode.
Yeah, you had Eliza and Bryce on the
Eliza
podcast
and Bryce all in one podcast, a loaded podcast, over 2 hours long. And so first off, that Steven, when I plugged that Bryce was going to be on the podcast, Steven said he was really great in the exit interview last season. I'm glad you can get him on a regular episode. And this is for Bryce's debut as a podcast guest. I believe also we're going to get into the first freakiest freak and the origin story of Farm Guy 69.
Farm Guy 69, yeah. Dale is whatever else you want to say about Dale Wentworth and his history with Survivor. He is the first, the grandfather of the freakiest freaks.
Also,
all other freaky freaks stem from the godhead that is Farm Guy 69.
Josh also alludes to that I mentioned that there was a brand new app called CBS All Access that you could get it for $5.99 a month to get all of the old seasons. So happy 10-year anniversary to Paramount Plus too.
Wow. Do we consider Paramount Plus to be 10 years old?
Probably not. I think I got to
feel like
rebrand.
no, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How far did CBS All Access make it?
I'd say maybe like 2018, 2019.
It's not a bad run,
Mm-hmm.
as far as these things go.
Yep. Okay. So Eliza had some hot takes.
Shocked.
Yes. Eliza had some hot takes. Eliza did predict that Julie would quit because apparently there's a preview.
Yeah.
Okay. Eliza also said, Eliza was pretty heated about people throwing challenges, and she still is to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Eliza also said, even in 2014, she was making comments about how Survivor has gotten too easy.
Too easy. Wow.
Even in 2014.
Yeah. Well, savor the flavor here. Like this is the hardest it'll
Eliza
ever be.
has been rather consistent on a lot of her viewpoints.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
She stays the course.
Okay. And overall, it was a banner week.
Yeah. we did a Walking Dead Survivor. You and I played Survivor The Walking Dead because I think The Walking Dead must have been coming back.
Yes.
And so this was before we did all of our Survivor simulations through Brant Steele. This one was just basically us dumping out a bunch of Walking Dead action figures and making them play Survivor at our whim. No spoilers. Fun podcast.
Okay. And how did we do that? How did we determine it? We just
we talked it through. We tried to
through.
be logical. We tried to logically figure out okay, well, Rick and the governor are never going to work together, and base it out that way.
Yeah. Eliza also had another hot take. And Eliza said, Natalie has way too big of a mouth to be strategic.
Whoa.
And said, from the Edgic perspective, she's not CP, she's OTT.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know what CP means.
Complex personality?
Is that what it is?
It's I think, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a huge Edgic guy.
Yeah, the complex personality. Look at you.
Yeah.
So Eliza, the edit read was off. Said not that this is not CP. She's OTT.
Yeah. Are
now,
we all?
I guess, but maybe not OTTN.
Yeah, and so that might be it. OTTP.
She was down with OTT.
Yeah, we know Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Also, I asked Eliza, do you think that Drew might be right and Kelly could actually be a good player? And Eliza exclaimed, no.
Wow. Wow. Shady.
Yeah. So, okay. But that's what's fun. That we don't know.
Did Eliza vote for Wentworth for second chance, do you think?
Probably.
We shouldn't ask. I don't think it's right to speculate.
Yeah.
But
I guarantee you, go back 10 years from now and listen to the Survivor 47 episode 4 recap. There's probably a million hilarious things that we got wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
Probably wait 10 weeks and listen to it.
Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how it goes, This is
This is a fun segment.
Rob, this is an exercise in putting yourself out there, right?
Sure.
Podcasting, and when you've been doing it as long as you have, there's bound to be receipts.
Yes.
So we like to comb through them.
We should be so lucky to do something that 10 years later people want to listen to.
That's how I feel. I very much feel that.
Yeah. All right. Next week, we get the swap.
Yeah, a tale of two swaps. It seems like we're getting some kind of twisty swap coming this week on 47. So we'll see how these two things line up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then we say goodbye to Kelly Wentworth 1.0.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a bummer.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Josh, We'll be back together in 1 week's time. Of course, make sure to subscribe to everything we're doing here on WeKnowSurvivor.com.
Yes.
What else is coming up for you?
Lots going on over at WeKnowScriptedTV.com, which is RHAP's arm in which we talk about all sorts of scripted nonsense, tastemakers, TV for real, all these great podcasts. This past week, or weekend, I should say, the great Mike Bloom joined Antonio Mazzaro and myself for a spooky edition of the weekend program.
Yes.
In which every weekend Antonio and I get together to talk about TV. You can check that out with theweekendprogram.com.
How spooky was it?
Spooky, scary, right?
Yeah, that was a good moment from this episode. It was very spooky if you consider the fact that The Simpsons has been on for 34 seasons and counting. Spooky. I consider that to be quite the frightful fact.
Yeah.
Mike,
did you watch the White Lotus parody for The Simpsons this week? The Yellow Lotus?
No, we missed the Yellow Lotus. We didn't watch that. We did Treehouse
Appointment
of Horror.
viewing in my house. Yeah.
13 best Treehouse of Horrors in reverse chronological order, as picked by Mike. A 90-minute podcast of the three of us talking Simpsons.
Can I play it for my kids? Is it inappropriate?
I think you get an unnamed shout out, but I guess I'm revealing that you were the guy who I wouldn't dox and said that your kids really like The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think that they could listen to it for sure.
Okay. I'll start with Dominic and see
You
if
could
it'll
vet
hold
it.
his
You could
attention.
vet it first. I don't think that we do any F-bombs.
Maybe we'll listen to it in the car.
Sure. Yeah, that'll be great. We had such a fun time talking about it, though. So that's all over at the Weekend Program.
Yeah.
Also, this week on Down the Hatch, Mike Bloom and I are restarting our Battlestar Galactica coverage after being offline since April. We did a quick detour back to Lost. Now we're all back in on BSG. We have a setup episode coming this week, and then the recaps continue next time. So if you want to check out Mike and I talking about one of our favorite shows, Down the Hatch is the place to do it. So all of this and more here on
It'll be
RHAP.
great to have something to listen to them in the car, because I've been letting them like control my Spotify. And you ever play with Spotify DJ?
I don't know what that is.
So Spotify DJ, it's kind of like AI that's like, all right, so I've been looking through your listening habits, and now I know what kind of music you like. So here's one of your favorites. And then it comes on, and then it's like, now Spotify thinks I like music, and it plays for me. Last Christmas, I gave you my yacht, and the very next day, you Sigma. Oh, like, what the hell?
I hate that. I hate that so much.
You screwed up my algorithm.
Last Christmas,
I gave you my yacht.
You gotta stop saying that.
It broke my algorithm.
I hate it. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
Alone
My
in your
yacht.
algorithm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. Have a good one.
Bye.